Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You join us at a local lake by our house where we decided to go out for some camping. Basically a full day of adventure. I've been traveling so much, filming new car launches, testing cars, and we're like, let's go on a quick adventure somewhere near home. So we went on a whole bunch of trails earlier today in the Rivian R1T. You can see it's covered in mud. We had a blast testing out the truck and just getting back into the whole Colorado off-roading scene. We love it out here. And well, the truck's pretty much dead. Alyssa, do you know what state of charge it's at?
I believe 11%.
11%. We've, just used it. So I want to talk about how convenient low power charging solutions can be. Not everywhere needs to be a DC fast charger, and a campground such as this can work perfectly to charge up your vehicle overnight with an appropriate EVSE. We'll talk a little bit about mobile EVSEs. I've been telling you we've been talking a lot about level 2 charging, a ton about DC charging, but we haven't quite talked about mobile units yet. So let's go into that since we're here. Works out perfectly with our trip. I'll show you the unit we're using, how it kind of all works, and what we recommend, tips and tricks to do, and why you should carry one of these in your car at all times. Well, our Rivian is in the early stages of getting kitted out. There's no rooftop tent or anything quite yet, coming soon. So we've also brought along our Sprinter van for the night, and well, between both of these vehicles, we could sleep probably 6-7 people, easily between all of them. It's really an awesome setup that we have here. We love camping. We have an out of spec overlanding channel that we've kind of let peter out and die recently. So I'd like to get some life back into that thing soon, but the passion for off-roading, the passion for exploration hasn't gone anywhere. So this is our Rivian R1T, and like Alyssa mentioned, it's actually at 11% state of charge. Let's just take a look really quick. Something like that. And yep, 10% actually there on the screen. It's lost a little bit. So we're at 10% state of charge, and we decided to skip the fast charger. There's a couple in the area, but we said, let's just come over here, and since we're going to spend the night, we will just top up using this. We're thrilled to announce ShockFlo's Empower Your Adventure Challenge, where you have the chance to win a cash award of $2,000 that will help recharge yourself this summer. They will select 2 lucky winners. It's easy to join the challenge. First, share a post and a story about your adventure on your Instagram account, whether it's a fun trip, a new book, a thrilling experience, or a life-changing moment. Use the hashtag EmpowerYourAdventure to spread the empowerment vibes, and tag ShockFlo Official in your post caption. Lastly, follow the account shockflo.official on Instagram. So guys, don't forget to use hashtag EmpowerYourAdventure out there. Anyway, the information in this video works regardless of the unit. We love this ShockFlo unit, so let me show you around it. All right, opening up the bag here, we have a ShockFlo unit right here. We have some really nice options as well, which I'll go through briefly once we plug it in. We have a NEMA 1450 plug type receptacle. Well, the receptacle's over there. This is the plug type. And then we have a really nice, somewhat long cable, longer than most of these units are. And it's like a really good material. You guys know my friend Tom Malagny is always hardcore on reviewing these and benchmarking them and doing comparison testing. So I highly encourage you to go check out Tom's video if he has a chance to test one. The cable feels great, nice and bendy. That's always a thing that he looks for. Also, the jacket doesn't feel too bad in here, so everything is good. This is a 40 amp mobile EVSE. That is incredibly rare because most EVSEs are only 32 amps. So you can charge, I don't know, up to 30 miles of range in 1 hour on an average electric car or something like that. And I typically don't really like to think that way. I like to think in terms of amps, and so 40 amps is just great. You can also dial down the current, for example, even if some cars you don't have the ability to dial down the current on them. I'm thinking Audi e-tron, a few other things. If you know you have other stuff on your circuit, this you're actually able to just hit a button and dial down that the charger's maximum power, which is a unique feature that can come in handy in very odd circumstances. For example, charging at a campground. You can see that majestic RV over here is plugged in. Our Sprinter's about to get plugged in as well, and so we're going to be putting quite a bit of load on the circuits here. And even though the circuit might be rated for 50 amps and we have a breaker there, the entire site may not be. So having the ability to derate current on a mobile EVSE is so important. You guys also might be wondering about the term EVSE. electric vehicle supply equipment. This is not the charger. We've been through this a few times, especially when we talked about level 2 charging over at Colton's shop, which actually isn't very far from here. But this is an electric vehicle supply equipment. This is taking the AC power that's coming out of this post right here, and it's actually going to be delivering the AC power, again, at 40 amps, anywhere from 208 volts if it's business voltage, which this is a commercial location. My guess is 208 volts, up to 240 volt for residential, single split phase. And then the onboard charger is in the car, and that's what's going to be converting the power. Now, the Rivian is dead, like I mentioned, so let's, well, 10%, that's not out of spec dead, but it's dead to let it sit there. So let's get it charging, at least show you how simple this process can be. Electric vehicle camping is becoming much more popular with big battery vehicles, Silverado, Hummer EV, Rivian R1T, and having the ability, again, to go from 32 amps, which is the included mobile connector inside the Rivian, to 40 amps can actually make the difference of getting a full charge overnight or not, truly. So let's plug it in here. We're in the unit. We may need to flip the circuit on. Yes, most of the time when you get to campgrounds, they are off. There we go. We flipped the circuit on, and you can see it's now powering up. It's set in default to 40 amp mode, which is wonderful. We can also dial up and down the current, anywhere in between, just so you guys can see that. This is such a cool feature. One thing, that's really the reason why I love this unit, is because I can do this. Our e-tron, our Polestar, there's a few other cars that I just cannot dial down the current. And what's really cool is it gives you a temperature. Just come on in here really quick because there's some great nerdy info, which is great. Gives us the temperature, and it also gives us the line voltage. So we are at 240 volts, we're at 236. There's almost no other mobile EVSE that gives nearly this much information, truly. And so even though, yes, ShockFlo sponsored this video, this is the one I'm gonna be using all the time because we get the nerdy data, the screens on there with everything. I love that. So let's come on over. We'll evaluate the connector really quick. This is a, let's see, EV connector rated for 40 amps, 240 volts, of course, minus 40C to plus 50C. That's quite a large temperature range, more than average. Typically it's minus 30. Really nice sort of gloss black accent in here. The latch here seems to be good. You can also run a lock through this latch. So if you don't want people stealing your charger, you can actually put like a little padlock through that little hole and it stops the latch from opening up. That's pretty cool. Just finding cool things about this charger. I hadn't noticed that until now, actually. That's pretty sweet. So we'll plug it in. It will go through its handshake process. Everything's going to be very similar. I'm curious to actually take a look at the charger over here. Excuse me. It's not a charger. It's an EVSE. Let's see what it says here. 40 amps, 3 kilowatts, ramping up. We're 16 amps, 17. Again, this is going off the vehicle's request. We're over 5 kilowatts now, ramping nicely. And again, the vehicle is controlling this conversation right here. 8 kilowatts. We're up to 40 amps, almost 39 amps, pretty much maxed out. You can see the line voltage is sagged slightly to 233 volts. We're doing 9 kilowatts, 39 degrees C in here, which these electronics can handle a lot more than that. And our kilowatt hour meter is actually going up as well. How cool is that? It's got a meter built in. Damn, this thing has absolutely everything. Now, what I'm curious about is, can I derate current while we're charging? The answer is no. You'll have to do that ahead of time. You can also set a delayed charge, which is truly wonderful, again, for those cars where you don't want sitting at 100% all the time. You just kind of want to have them complete right before you leave. Again, I'm thinking our e-tron, I'm thinking our Polestar, which have quite complicated timer setups in there. Really nice to be able to do that right on your EVSE and not fiddle with the complicated car settings in some cases. So a lot of value here in this unit. Truly, it's quite a powerful little EVSE. So yes, I know it's sponsored video and I love working with these companies, but this is truly great stuff. Let's run inside the Rivian. Let's just see what the truck says. Came with a really nice case, by the way, so you can use this as a carrying bag or you can just throw it around. But the other use case, just thinking off the bat, is a lot of you guys have mobile connectors that you use for home charging. Well, this can actually double as a home unit, and we'll talk about that in a second. Head in here, you can see, yes, we have 9 kilowatts going in, and in 6 hours it'll be charged to our charge limit, which we've set to 50%. You would probably go 80, 90% if you're going to go on a long trip. Again, we just came back from the trails. I don't like my battery sitting that high, and we live not too far away, but we wanted to have a fun day getting this thing muddy and enjoying it out there. So just a little bit of a topic of mobile connectors and everything. I would talk quite a bit about the ShockFlo, but just about the whole topic, the whole theory. DC charging is what you're going to be using on road trips. These are your, 50 kilowatt plus stations. And in a truck like this, you're looking for stations that are capable of outputting 500 amps at battery pack voltage. We're talking over 200 kilowatt charging for something like this application to get us from stop to stop to stop. However, you really only need that when you're out on the road. For 90% of some people's use cases, it's certainly a less percentage of mine, but for many of you who charge at home consistently, or go camping, a ton of you, or go to racetracks. I mean, we're at tracks all the time. When we're in between track sessions, we're charging up here. And again, I'll be using the ShockFlo here because it's a 40 amp unit, and pretty much every other unit that I have is only 32 amps. So this is already incredibly valuable to me, and I love all the nerdy data. You don't need DC charging all the time. You just need quick top-ups here and there. And the thing is, with this electric vehicle transition, a lot of the transition is held up on charging infrastructure being put in. Certain companies, certain businesses, perhaps even your workplace may not want to install level 2 charging, or don't want to deal with all of that stuff. But almost every commercial building, or at least sites that are wired for a lot of heavy duty applications, I'm thinking welding applications, etc., all have some sort of high power plug somewhere in the building. And one of those most common plugs is the NEMA 1450, like we're charging on here. Again, it's what pretty much all of these big Class A motorhomes are using. A lot of these are using 30 amp connections. That's why there's actually both. So we're actually able to plug in our Sprinter to a 30 amp connection and this to the 50 amp connection and run both throughout the night. So we can run AC all night in the Sprinter, and this can charge up. Really a great application. And I think about folks like All Electric Family, a great YouTube channel that we're friends with. They have a Hummer EV, getting that 200 kilowatt hours into that battery pack overnight, while they're also able to plug in their Airstream that they're being towed. That's invaluable. So having some sort of NEMA 1450 connector in your vehicle basically allows you to circumvent some of the failing or slow to be installed electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and to use existing electrical infrastructure that's in almost every main building today. I recently rode electric motorcycles, maybe a year and a half ago, across Montana with Timon and Drew, and there was no charging stations, no level 2 stations in the entire area where we were, and we drove 1,200 miles we rode. All we did to get across Montana on these motorcycles was use NEMA 1450 charging stations. That was our only charging option. And it worked, and we got around, and we met great people, and it was really fun. So you guys will know, every time I take a road trip, I always have one of these in my trunk, or my front trunk in this case. This is one that I really am super into. Great data, high current as well. And just having the ability to, if I'm not gonna make it to a charger, or I get stuck in a storm or something happens, at least here in America, there are campgrounds everywhere, and especially here in the Midwest. You can't go and exit down the highway without passing a campground in this area of Colorado. If for whatever reason you find yourself in a pickle, this just opens up more options, more abilities for you to be able to charge. And again, having that ability to go up to 40 amps gets you there even quicker than most of them, which are only 32 amps there. So that's the ShockFlo unit. That's the reason that I always recommend to carry a mobile electric vehicle supply equipment cable in your car, mobile EVSE. Loving the built-in technology to this unit here. I want to say a huge thanks to ShockFlo for sponsoring this video. Not only, of course, for being able to share their product, which is always fun to be able to highlight companies that work with us, and I love supporting the companies that support Out of Spec. It allows us to keep making videos for you guys. So again, thanks ShockFlo for sponsoring this video so we can keep Out of Spec growing and doing crazier and bigger and wilder things. But also it just allows us an opportunity to bring up a very needed topic where we sometimes focus on DC charging too much. You hear me say this, where just a level 2 charge overnight here on a NEMA 1450 existing infrastructure, not even built for electric vehicles, but can easily power them, is just sitting right here in the ground and in many places across the country. So again, a huge thank you to ShockFlo. Make sure to use the hashtag and to enter into their programs so that you can win a cash prize. I'll leave all the details for that in the description of this video below, and we'll see you at another one soon. I am definitely looking forward to getting out on the lake, camping, and enjoying the night here, and knowing that the Rivian will be topped up in the morning is a great feeling. Thanks for watching. See you in another one soon. Bye-bye.